Welcome to the Codfarther Show, hosted by Twin Seafood. My name is John LeBlundo. This is my brother Joe.
How you doing?
How's everybody tonight? We're going to be doing 3 dishes tonight. We're going to be doing an appetizer, we're going to be doing a main course, and we're going to be doing a side dish. We're going to start with an appetizer. It's a scallop wrapped in bacon. Then we're going to go to a main course where we're going to prepare a pan-seared salmon with a lemon dill and caper sauce. And then we're going to do some roasted vegetables. We're back to the Codfarther with Twin Seafood, and my brother Joe's going to start doing some scallops wrapped in bacon.
So, what we like to use here is we use a New Bedford sea scallop, which are what I call dry scallops. Dry scallops have no chemical or
like a
preservative,
brine, right?
No
like
preservative in them
water
to add weight. So when you get dry scallops, you get true scallop flavor with no salt or water added.
All weight.
Right. So
yeah, no weight.
So that's what we choose to use. That's what we sell in the store all the time. That's what we use for scallops wrapped in bacon or any scallop dish that we use. Okay.
What are we using? A 10-20 here?
We're using a 20-30 count.
Yeah.
Which means that there's about 20 to 30 sea scallops in a pound.
Right.
Okay. We're going to wrap these in bacon. We use a nice thick, fresh bacon because you want that flavor of the oil from the bacon to go into the scallop, and we're going to bake them. Also, one other thing that is very important when you're using scallops is that you need to take it's called the muscle. So what we're going to do here, it's very important when you use scallops, is that you need to take the muscle off, because the scallop is the muscle, but there is what's called a hinge that connects the scallop or the muscle to the shell. And it's always on just the side of the scallop. It's a very little piece, but it is very tough. So you want to take that off, and it's just a little piece of meat. That's the hinge that connects the muscle, the scallop, to the shell. Okay, so you want to take that off all the scallops that you use. You
know what's amazing is a scallop this size right here, the shell on this is probably, 6 to 8 inches in diameter. It's a massive shell, and that's what they market out of it. They throw away the whole other part of the scallop, and they market that.
And that's the reason why they're $22
yeah, that's why they're $22 a pound.
But so what we're going to do with these is we're just going to take. You don't need a full piece of bacon. If you use a full piece of bacon, you're going to smother the scallop taste, and you don't want to do that. So you just lay it on your cutting board. You want to put the scallop at one end. You want to wrap it and just roll it. It's nice and easy.
Beautiful.
Nice and easy. Toothpick it through the end of the bacon that is loose, okay? So you put it through, all the way through, okay, so that bacon is not going to go anywhere. It's nice and tight. Beautiful. Okay? And we're going to put it on a cookie sheet. The cookie sheet does not need to be, you don't have to put butter or oil on the cookie sheet. The bacon obviously is going to create enough oil that we're not going to have to worry about that. But what you do want to do is you want to put it kind of with the toothpick down so it does stay off the pan just a little bit. And then we're going to do the exact same thing.
And we're going to brush it with a little bit. This is a mixture of hot water and brown sugar. And we're going to just brush it with a little bit of brown sugar and water. And then we're going to put it in the oven, and we're going to roast it at 450 for about 20 minutes. And they're going to be nice golden brown, and the scallop's going to be cooked all the way through. Nice thing about scallops is that the scallop itself is just a protein. There's no fat on it. There's no nothing. I mean, it's just a pure protein. So if you're on one of these crazy diets where all you eat is protein and no carbs, scallops is a perfect thing for that.
I just got off one of those crazy diets. They're not that crazy.
And you lost 40 pounds, but it's a beautiful thing.
We wrapped all the scallops in bacon. We put the toothpicks through. So what we're going to do now is we're going to brush them with the brown sugar in the water. You don't want to put too much. You don't want them to be overly sweet. You know, because the bacon is going to have a little bit of a maple flavor as well. But as you can see, if you have a big group, just a small cookie sheet like this, you can fit, I don't know, you can fit maybe 3 dozen on here. But we have a dozen scallops on here. That'll feed nicely 6 people for an appetizer with no problem. Especially if you're going to give them a nice main course. Unless you got all Italians, then you probably want to do about 6 dozen. Because we can eat. And that there is your appetizer, scallops wrapped in bacon. We're going to put it in the oven at 450 degrees. They're going to take between 15 and 18 minutes. So what we're going to do is John, you want to take those?
Yeah.
We'll get those into the oven right now.
And we'll come back and do the main course when we come back. Welcome back to the Codfarther, hosted by Twin Seafood. We are going to start with the main course, which is the seared salmon. And we're going to start with a piece of wild salmon right here. It's probably about a ½ pound or so. It's got the skin on and it's got the bone in. So
I don't know if everybody's familiar with the difference between farm-raised and wild salmon, but this whole thing about how much better wild salmon is for you. And the reality of it is that with the amount of fat that is in farm-raised salmon, because they don't quite move around as much as wild salmon, right, yeah, they actually have more omega-3. Now, as long as you have a very reputable farm, which we've been using the same farm for 21 years.
Yeah, right, I know. It's up in New Brunswick, Canada. Yeah. Beautiful farm.
As long as you have a very reputable farm, there's the health advantage is just as prevalent in the farm-raised salmon as in the wild, because there is more omega-3. So
the first thing I'm going to do with the salmon here is it's a bone-in salmon and it has a skin on. I'm first going to take the skin off, and that's going to allow me to then bone it much easier, because the bones actually attach to the skin, and when you try to pull the bones out with the skin on, it's a little bit more difficult. So easily skin off, and it's very helpful to have a very sharp knife to do the skinning. Then I'm going to take the forceps. So if you have, either you're married to a doctor or you have a doctor who's a friend, forceps come in very handy.
Or someone who works in the hospital.
Or somebody who works in the hospital. Forceps come in handy. You can kind of clamp down on these bones and they pop right out nice and easy. Voila. I don't know if you can zoom in on that, but
salmon they have a floating rib cage. They're not like other fish like cod or anything like that. Salmon, the bone actually goes right from the spine all the way to the outside of the skin. So that's why you need to pull the pin bones. And they're not necessarily the same type of bone that's in a codfish or haddock or sole or anything like that.
So that salmon right there is completely boned right now, and it's skinned. I'm going to toss it over to Joe. He's going to sear it.
So what we're going to do here is I have a nice non-stick pan. Okay, we're just going to put some olive oil in here. Get it good and hot. I mean, you can use a cast iron pan if you have one, which will work just as well. But for right now, we're going to use a non-stick pan. I kind of like the non-stick pan. It doesn't stick.
Yeah,
right?
It's so much better. I mean,
nice and easy.
It is just so much better.
Right? So we're going to put these in here.
A little bit of olive oil in the pan.
Just olive oil. We got a nice thick piece. You can see that it's probably pretty close to 1 inch thick. And we're gonna only do 2 at a time, because you don't want to reduce the heat too much, because what we're actually going to do with this fish is we're going to pan sear it. So meaning that we're just going to sear it on each side, and then we're going to put it in the oven and we're going to roast it.
Scallops are looking beautiful.
Yeah, I can smell them. They smell awesome.
Wow.
So we're gonna take this fish and just sear it, because what searing will do for the fish is it'll brown it on each side, give it that nice flavor, and it'll also seal in the juices, right? So then what we do is we roast it in the oven at approximately 450 degrees, and it's going to take about 12 minutes. But we're going to take a look at this here. If you can get in on the pan, that would be great.
There's some other great properties of the salmon that comes with the omega-3. Not only is the omega-3 good for like cutting your cholesterol, and it's good for your heart, it's also good for your complexion, it's good for your muscle growth. It's the perfect food.
You can see that quickly. What did that take? That took about a minute and a half. You get a beautiful, nice sear on that, on the meat, because of the olive oil that's in the pan. But not only that, it's the oil that's in the fish that makes it just sear up so nice, you know.
And seal it.
And seal it. It seals in all those beautiful juices and oil that are so important when you eat it, and it makes it so delicious. And again, like I say, it really does not take long. So this olive oil that's in here, you know, some of that oil from the fish is coming in there. It's adding flavor in the fish and everything like that. Once we sear the two pieces of salmon in here, we are actually going to take the pan off of the stove and let it cool. And then we're going to add some saltless, unsalted butter, some lemon juice,
and some capers,
and some dill weed. But we got to let this, you know, let this cool down a little bit. And we're going to make a sauce that after the fish comes out of the oven and is roasted, we're going to put that sauce pour it right over in it, and it will be just fantastic.
It'll be beautiful.
And again, you can see, you know, you can see the other side of the fish now. Both sides are nicely seared.
Perfect. I want to eat it right now.
And then what you want to do is you do want to season this.
A little bit of salt?
Just a little bit with some coarse salt, you know, kosher salt. And you do want to season it just a little bit.
Yummy.
And a little bit of black pepper. We got black pepper?
Yeah, yeah.
Then we're gonna take these out of the pan now.
And then we'll get ready for...
And we're gonna put them in a baking dish. You know, that's just a Pyrex dish. You can use a cookie sheet. You can use whatever you like, whatever you have in the house. It's simple.
You could actually put the frying pan right in.
You can
once
put the
you dump
frying
the
pan,
oil.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna put it here.
Saves you on dishes.
We're gonna put that right in there. And then that's going to go into the oven at 450 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes. Now you can see that smoking a little bit, so we want to pull this off the heat and let that cool, but that's going to take a few minutes, so why don't we... Yeah,
we'll break now and we'll come back and go over our side dish, the roasted vegetables. Welcome back to the Codfarther, hosted by Twin Seafood. On this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the roasted vegetables, our side dish that we're going to be doing today. It's going to be red bell pepper, green bell pepper, a nice Spanish onion, some broccoli, and what do we have? A little summer squash and a little zucchini. So what we've done is we started chopping a little bit. We're going to chop up the peppers right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to season this mixture with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of olive oil, and a little bit of garlic powder. You know, if you're Sicilian, everybody knows you got to put garlic powder in everything that you make. So that's pretty much what we do here. But chop the rest of these veggies up, And an interesting way to mix up with the olive oil and the seasoning is to use a plastic bag. First of all, it gets everything on the vegetables very nicely, and it keeps the area nice and clean. So, going to get these all chopped up.
I'm just going to make a little bit of that mixture. The seasoning that John talked about, it's just coarse salt, little bit of garlic powder. You know, dry spices are better for this because John is going to put a little bit of olive oil on the vegetable. He's going to put it into a plastic bag, and this will all adhere right to the vegetable nicely.
All right, so here's the plastic bag. This is the key. This is the secret here. So open the plastic bag, put your veggies in, and then we're going to add the seasonings and the olive oil. And then what's nice about putting everything in the plastic bag is that it gets everything seasoned and oiled nicely. So all the veggies go in there right like that. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil to it. Mix that in there like that. This is going to be beautiful. And then this is going to roast at basically the same temperatures that we've been roasting pretty much everything else.
I was just going to say that. The nice thing about this meal is everything can go into the oven at 425 or 450 degrees.
This ready?
Yep.
All right.
And you can cook everything at one temperature. It all comes out of the oven all together. Everything's nice and hot and ready to eat.
So you're just going to shake that around a little bit. Get it all going. Yeah, take that out of here before it goes flying off the table. Move that around and get these veggies all done. Put them on a nice tray. Get them in the oven, and you know, within like 12, 15 minutes, this stuff's going to be beautiful. That looks pretty good. Smells good. Pop this baby on here. Nice and easy. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Here, toss that. Everything's in there. You got your zucchini, you got your summer squash, you got your onion, your red pepper, your green pepper, and your broccoli. And this is going to go right into the oven at 450 for about 12, 15 minutes, and they're going to be roasted and they're going to be beautiful.
With that olive oil that we had, we let it cool just a little bit because what we're going to do is we're going to add some butter to that. We don't want the butter to burn. So we're going to add some butter. As long as I can get this stove on, we're good.
No, yeah, we can get that going.
Oh, yeah, nice. All right.
The scallops are coming out right now. They're looking beautiful, as usual.
Yeah. So we just we got that olive oil that we used, that we cooked the salmon in, because we don't want to get rid of the oil that came out of the salmon. We want all that flavor in our sauce.
Absolutely.
Okay. So so what we're going to do, this is getting warm now. We're going to add some butter. We got about a quarter pound of butter here. We're going to put that in there. Let that melt. Turn that down. I got it. Yeah. We're going to turn that down.
Yeah, you don't want the temperature on there too high because you don't want to burn the butter. And there's no going back once you burn the butter, Joey. There's no going back.
No going back.
No, that's it.
No doubt. And we got some lemons. You need about 3 lemons.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys know, but Twin Seafood has the best lemons in the world because they're nice and thin-skinned.
Oh, yeah.
And you actually get some juice out of these things, you know? A lot of lemons, they got that real thick skin. You get nothing. Nothing.
I know, lemons aren't like people, right?
No.
No. They're better if they have thin skin. I know.
Use a little strainer here because you don't, when you squeeze this in, you don't want to have any seeds. So you want the juice of 3 lemons.
Nice.
Which will cool it all down too. I want to kick that heat just a little bit.
Yeah.
Now I used a unsalted butter because in this sauce we're going to add capers. And as everybody knows, if you like capers, they're very salty. And we're going to use a large caper. They're actually from Spain. We don't need those anymore. So you can see that. You can see that this is just a nice, it's basically, yeah, just a butter sauce. It's nice. I mean, that may look like a lot of oil, but we have about 5.5 pounds of salmon in there, so.
We're just going to brush it on.
Yeah,
anyway,
we're going to brush it on. Not a lot.
Be beautiful.
Here I have about 3 ounces of capers with a little bit of juice, as you can see. And these are, like I said, these are a little bit on the larger side. I think they have more flavor, you know. So we're going to put those right in there. If you choose to use fresh dill, you can do that. What we have here is a little bit of dried dill weed. That's going to go in there as well. And this is about 2 ounces. You don't need all of this. I'm going to use about maybe about 1.5 ounces, approximately. And I'm not going to use that.
Oh, you can use the spatula.
I'm going to use this.
You get a spoon?
Yeah. So as you can see, we're just going to mix that in. You can smell, hopefully you guys can smell the dill and the capers in there. And that's just using everything, right? So, you know, there's no waste here. You make a nice sauce. You can see that beautiful capers and the dill in there, the butter, the olive oil, the lemon juice. It's just fantastic. You take that out. You take that salmon out of the oven. This goes right over it. And you got a beautiful meal.
Oh yeah, you got all good ingredients in there too. You got lemon, you got olive oil. It's all good for you.
Yep. Very little fat too. I mean, the bacon.
Well, the half a pound of butter you put in there.
The butter. But actually, you know, still very healthy for you. Still a very healthy meal.
All right, we'll be back to plate everything and show what we have. Welcome back to the Codfarther, hosted by Twin Seafood. We have a few minutes right now, so we're going to talk a little bit about how Twin Seafood came about, how Joe and I got into the fish business, and how we ended up in Concord and then with the Acton store. If you want to start, Joe, you can lead it.
We started. I started working in Fresh Pond Seafood. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Cambridge, but I worked there from 1978. I tell the story. I remember my first day there. It was the year that the Red Sox were playing the Yankees, and Bucky Dent, or Bucky.
Yeah.
Dent.
Blank Dent.
Blank Dent hit that home run and put them out of the playoffs. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but I certainly do. And that was my first day going into the fish business, which was, like I say, 1978, and I was a sophomore in high school. John also worked there during when he went to college. He worked there part-time and certainly worked there on all the holidays and the busy times of year that we needed good help.
Yeah, it was a trip. I mean, a buddy of ours' dad owned this place called Fresh Pond Seafood. We worked there, helped him through, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years or whatever. And then Joe worked there after high school, and
I was there about 12 years.
Yeah, and then we both seemed to be laid off, like, I don't know, back in like 1989, 1990.
90, yeah.
Yeah, and we're like, what are we gonna do? And we said, why don't we open a fish store? So we looked into Concord, and we went into Concord, and we found a nice little spot there. It used to be a bank, and you know, we opened up our first store. We were like 27. We borrowed, you know, whatever money we could, and we got it going. And you know, that's been there for like 23 years, and we saw this spot up in Acton. And
yeah, we opened the store in June of 1991. And we're coming up, you know, on our 22nd year anniversary in West Concord.
Yeah.
You know, in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be 22 years there. And the funny thing is we also had a store in Belmont, which we opened the store in Concord in 91. We opened the store in Belmont in 2001, and we opened the store in Acton in 2011. So it just seemed like every 10 years we took a step forward and tried to grow. The store in Belmont has since closed. We you know, it was a great store. We just weren't able to come to terms down there.
Yeah, that just didn't work out.
And now we're in Acton. I live in Acton, and my brother John lives in Boxborough. And it just felt like a natural thing to do. The store in Acton has a nice seating area outside. Can seat approximately, what?
40 people.
40, 50 people. We do a lot of clam bakes and things like that out there. You know, we also offer catering through both stores. We do a lot of clam bakes and things like that. And you know, so far so good. We've been there. We haven't killed each other yet.
No.
You know,
had some nice brawls though. Nice ones. But you know, hey, you know what? Family business. I don't know if anybody's ever been in a family business. It's a tough thing. You know, you got your kids working there. You got your wives involved. It's a tough thing. But you know, I think we keep level heads. And been able to move forward, so it's been a good thing.
Yeah.
And we'll come back, we'll plate everything, and get some people eating. Welcome back to the Codfarther, hosted by Twin Seafood. We are now going to plate the food. So we have our scallops wrapped in bacon over here. We're going to plate that right over here. These were roasted for about 15 minutes at 450. They're beautiful. They were glazed with a little bit of brown sugar and water. And we're going to send these out to our adoring fans to try in just a moment.
You can see here that what you really want to concentrate on when you're cooking these is to make sure that the bacon is cooked through, because you don't want to have, you know, a scallop with flabby bacon on it, because it's just not going to be a nice flavor. So you want to make sure that the bacon is cooked through on the scallops, and you can see that it is. And again, it doesn't take long, like John said, about 15 minutes at 450, and they cook up nice. It'll keep the scallop nice and moist on the inside, and the bacon will be nice and roasted on the outside. And that's you know, we have about 3 dozen here. It's a beautiful appetizer for at least 10 people, 10 to 12 people.
I usually suggest, like, if people want to do appetizers for scallops wrapped in bacon for people, I usually suggest like maybe 1 per person, or you know, sometimes maybe 1.5 per person. You know, if they're going to order the scallops wrapped in bacon, you know, they don't have to go crazy with it, because not everybody will eat them. You know, so. You know, maybe 1 to 1.5 each per person is a good idea.
But there might be a guy like me at the party.
Yeah, they eats 42 of them. Yeah, I know.
8 of them.
Yeah. So that's that.
So that's the scallops. That's our appetizer. We're going to move over to the main dish, which is the salmon here. We have beautiful farm-raised wild salmon, roasted. We're going to plate that on a plate. These pieces are approximately 8 ounces each, which is the serving size that we recommend in the store per adult.
Now, not everybody's going to eat 8 ounces. Let's face it. You know, a woman might eat, you know, 4 to 5, but a guy's going to eat, you know, 12, you know, 11 to 12. So, you know, it kind of works out.
And again, this salmon was just roasted on top of the, seared on top of the stove, put in the oven, 450.
It's a beautiful thing.
For about 12 to 15 minutes.
Look at how nice it looks with the capers.
The nice thing about that is you can enjoy your guests. You know, if you have guests, you don't have to be standing over the oven.
It's good.
You can pan sear it in advance.
Oof.
Put it in a pan and serve it. You know, serve it later. Take it and put it in the oven and serve it later.
Heat that all up.
So we have a lot of juice there. This was the sauce that we made. Again, just lemon, dill, butter, capers, and a little bit of olive oil.
And the olive oil, yeah, with the salmon drippings.
Yeah, and we're just going to put that over the fish.
Beautiful. You know, you could also, if you wanted to thin out the sauce a little bit, you could also add a little bit of white wine to it, if you wanted to, if you like that. If you like a little bit of white wine, I mean.
Personally, I'd rather just drink the white wine.
I like to
myself.
drink the white wine, but you know.
That's just me.
Yeah, but that looks good. That's perfect.
Yeah.
It's better than that.
Delish.
All right, and then now we have the roasted vegetables, which were basically seasoned with a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic powder, and olive oil. They were shaken in a bag, which is kind of a technique that kind of learned through the years. It's kind of a neat freak, you know, way to do things, but it keeps everything nice and neat, and also seasons the veggies, you know, perfectly and uniformly. So it's a good way to do it. I suggest doing it that way, and it kind of keeps your kitchen clean too. And that's a beautiful thing right there. And that's done. So we have scallops wrapped in bacon. Bang! We have roasted vegetables. Bang! And we have our salmon seared with a lemon dill and caper sauce. Bon appetit.